I want to welcome you to this very special month and a very special series of episodes that we're doing here on our YouTube channel. We've decided to take our Getting Started series and pull it out from behind a sort of a sign-up wall and bring it to the channel at large. It is great material, it is fun, and it is very interesting. Even if you are not going to do living history, you don't think you're going to do living history, but you're still interested in it, this information is going to be interesting because you'll find out what it takes to actually do living history and why people do living history and what they have to do to get involved. There's a lot to this a process, but once you turn it into a process and a sort of a series of steps, it's much easier to take in. And we'll also be doing a series of interviews where we'll be talking to living history reenactors and sort of teasing out some of those information. Kevin and I will probably come in afterwards and do some commentary on the interview. So this should be a great month. We're going to give you the same episodes we always give you. On Monday, a cooking episode. On Thursday, a Q&A. But on Tuesday and Wednesdays, we'll be doing the Getting Started series. So the first week it'll be episode 1 and then 2, and then the second week it'll be 3 and 4. On Fridays we'll be doing those interviews and that commentary section. So we'll be giving you content 5 days of the week, just for the month of April, maybe a week or so into May, because we'll probably have enough content as we go. I expect this to be really a lot of fun. There is some written material to this that we'll have to figure out how to give to you. So you'll have to check down in the description section for a link to that. We're not exactly sure how that's going to go. As usual, I sort of flying by the seat of my pants. I don't want to wait on this anymore. I want to get it out there. So instead of making everything perfect, I'm just going to do it. And sometimes that's the way it is. I aggravate people at work because sometimes I just jump. I just start doing things. And they want to plan it and all that good stuff, and I just want to do it. So I invite you to come along on this series. It's going to be a lot of fun. Here comes episode 1. If you've got questions, put them down in the description section. Many times I might refer to emailing us. Just use the comment section, and we will do our very best. Although it's probably going to be crazy, but we'll do our very best to answer what we can down in the comments section. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy this episode and the ones that are coming up. Thank you so much for watching. Welcome to this Getting Started series. This is episode 1. I am John Townsend.
I'm Kevin Carter.
And this series is going to be a lot of fun. What is it? What are we doing here?
Well, John, let's add a little historic perspective here. James Townsend and Son has been in business for 40 years, over 40 years,
yes,
selling reproduction clothing and accessories to historic reenactors and interpreters. And, you know, whenever we got a phone call from someone who was brand new at it, we would happily send them a catalog and basically say, good luck.
Yeah, and I know if it was me on the other side of that, if I take a look at that now, I would say I would get this catalog and I would not know exactly where it was to start. I mean, it was just a catalog full of products.
Hundreds of products.
Hundreds of products. How do I know which one I should get first, or which ones are the right for me and not right for me? So, yeah, it was very confusing. And
it was kind of a revelation fairly recently for us. It's like, you know, we really need to be more helpful with all of these people who are showing interest in getting started. And we need to give them some advice on how to do that.
And I think one of the reasons why we never did that is because no one else does it either. No one else is standing there saying, "Oh no, we're going to hold your hand. We're going to get you started in this," except for maybe the historic groups. You know, a particular unit or a historic site might do that with the people that work with them. And so we would expect that people were already kind of started in reenacting. They already have a group, or they already had someone to give them advice. But it turns out that many people start without any kind of advice at all. And so we thought, well, we really need to step in and give people a roadmap, a process to go through
so that they know what they need to do to get started.
And some of this thought, this new approach, began to take form when we started shooting some videos, some interview videos of seasoned reenactors. And we would ask them, and you can find these videos on our YouTube channel, but we would ask them, what advice do you have for the beginner? And these bits and pieces of advice started coming together, and we kind of organized it, and now we have this step-by-step process that we can actually share with people to get them going.
A roadmap. Yeah, when I asked those questions, it was a simple question. The answer is long and complex, but most people just gave a simple answer. They gave us one component of this process, but we actually went through it and said, no, it's a lot more to it than just one simple way. You just can't just start. That's not how it works. So we came up with this process.
Today's session is kind of light and easy. There's one point that we want to make. We'll make that in a few minutes. Some of the sessions get really in depth.
Yes. Some of the processes are very in depth. I mean, some of these steps that we've got are easy, and some of them are not so easy.
Right, and really this process is designed or intended to be a long-term process. It's not the type of thing where after 7, 8, 9 emails, a person is
ready to go.
Ready to go at an advanced level of reenacting or interpretation.
And the other thing about this is it's not necessarily just for new people. This isn't just for people who've never done reenacting.
Right. There are people who have been in this for decades, and some of those people just might need some fresh ideas.
Yeah, fresh ideas. Some people want to take their stuff to the next level. They say, well, I've progressed this far, but I really want to do it more. I want to get engaged more, get more out of it. So this will help people at different levels of experience, but especially helpful to people who are beginning.
Now, John, you're dressed up in 18th century attire.
Yes.
We focus on what we call the flintlock era.
Right. We do. James Townsend and Son specifically focuses on 1750 to say 1820. So that time period covers the French and Indian War, the Revolutionary War, and War of 1812. Right. And we kind of stop when it gets later than that. And we focus on that because that time period is really marks a special place in a lot of different ways, both in the birth of our nation and in the formation of what's going on in North America, but it's also even around the world. It's a time frame that is this kind of bridge between the agricultural world and then the industrial world that comes later on. And so many things are happening in society at all levels. Things are happening in religion, or happening in
philosophy.
Yeah, in philosophy. Changes in food and in fashion. There are all these things that are changing rapidly through this time frame.
Science and yes.
And for us today, it's an important period for us to study because today we're going through these same kinds of changes right now. Massive changes in what's happening with our society and all those same kind of levels. How did they deal with it, and what kind of changes did they see from the beginning to the end? We're going to see some of those same monumental changes in our society.
But this is not limited to people who are interested in the flintlock era.
That's very true. The concepts that we're going to put together, and really they're all concepts. There isn't a lot of really kind of specific go to this particular website kind of advice, but the concepts work for all different time periods. Whether you want to do Roman or World War II, if you're doing Viking, it doesn't matter what kind of ethnicity or what kind of time frame, or location on the planet. All these same kinds of ideas are going to help you get started with living history.
Well, let's get started. Session 1.
Okay, session 1, here we go. This one we titled Take the Leap because it's all about basically going from not doing it to doing it.
Right. John, there are all sorts of reasons why people get connected with living history.
Yeah, what are these things that attract people? I mean, I'll bet you there are people out there that it's drawn them in for some reason, but they're not sure quite what it is.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, if you ask them, the seasoned reenactors, the old guard that we
Right.
like to call them, why did you do this? You're going to find people say, you know what, I just have this love for history. I love learning about history. Others are going to say, you know what, I went to a reenactment and watched that battle, and I thought, man, that looked like fun. They have an interest in the old technology, weapons, and they were just sucked into it. Other people, they like a simpler lifestyle.
There's a lot of people out there that are looking at simple lifestyle issues. And life is so complicated today, and in some ways it's very simplistic, and depending on the person in the 18th century. And so many people will look at that and be interested in that.
We hear this a lot. There is such a community and camaraderie among people who do this. They have this passion for the single thing, and there are these friendships that develop based on these commonalities. And it's amazing to see to go to an event and everyone is everybody's friend.
Right. There's a lot of community there, and if you're looking for a set of people to really connect with, it's a great group of people, at least that we connect with all the time.
And two, living history also gives people the opportunity to learn new things, whether it's the old trades or crafts, life skills. It really is an amazing opportunity to do that as well.
Right. People interested in blacksmithing and cooking. The amount of diversity is intense. And the interesting part about it is because of the level of technology, you can start at the very simplest of those things. It's very hard to do that in today's world with so many of the complicated things we have. There's so many layers of technology underneath what we do that it's hard for us to get down to the bottom. But at this point in history, I want to learn how to make the nicest basket in the world. Well, you can start with the tree. So you can go from all the way to the simplest to the very highest, and all in one kind of a stream. Instead of today, I want to be the best at making computers. Well, you're not going to make your own computer chips, or even your own computer, or your own computer screen, or your own operating system, maybe. But so it's hard for us to break those things down in today's technology and society. But we can here.
We live in this society where so many of us, all day long, we're sitting in front of a computer, clicking away. We're glued to the screen. We're glued to our phones. We are controlled by technology. And you're seeing this more and more. People who will leave their phones at home or leave them in the car,
Right.
and disconnect from all of the busyness.
Right. It's sort of like the difference between a virtual world that we live in behind computer screens and the real world. Oh, this weekend I'm going to the real world.
Yes, and to be able, to use your hands to do things, to make things, to depend on your hands for your food, for your survival for the weekend, even if it's just for a day or a weekend.
Right. And not just as a consumer, but as a real person interacting with real stuff.
But John, it's often not just one reason.
Right.
A lot of times, especially as you have more and more opportunity to do it, you discover that there are more and more reasons why you return.
Right. And I think many people start for one little reason and they find, there's all these other reasons why. One thing might bring you in. I was really interested in this particular gun. And then all of a sudden it's the community and it's history and all these other things bring you in and really bind it all together.
And there is a large group of people within the living history community where it's like they they start to learn all of these interesting things, and they can no longer keep it to themselves. They feel compelled to share what they've learned with others, whether it's historical facts or a trade, a skill of some kind. And so, in a lot of ways, reenactors and historical interpreters are educators as well.
I think there's something internal in us in that if we learn something and we never share it, at least even the product of it, it's like we never learned it.
Well, we run the risk of losing it
Right.
and forgetting it.
Yeah. There's a lot to that.
Yeah. Well, just as there are, just as there's this endless list of reasons why people do it, there's probably an equally long list of reasons why people don't do it.
Right. We have, let's call them excuses.
Okay, let's face it.
Yes. Let's face it. There are reasons why we don't do it, and those things we call excuses.
What's the most common excuse you've heard?
There's a tie between two of them, and they're related. And one is it's too expensive, or I don't have the money. And the one that's connected with it, like side by side, is I don't have the time.
Right. We're too busy, too many things.
And I don't have any money.
Another big one is I don't know how to begin. I don't know where to start.
Right. And that's what this series is all about. We understood, we saw that particular one and said, now that's one I can change. I can work on that right now. And in fact, we've been working on this series for how long? I mean, in one way or another, we've probably been working on it for a year.
Right.
And this is really the fruition of that kind of coming together as we finally get our heads together on this.
Now, there may be some other more challenging limitations as well. Right. For instance, physical limitations. Whatever those may be, I'm sure there are people out there who have just kind of discounted or disqualified themselves from becoming involved simply because they have these limitations and they just assume, nope, it won't fit. I can't do it.
Some people, not just a physical limitation, but they seem to have a locational limitation.
No one around me is doing this. I'm the only one.
Or I'm in California and I want to do something that didn't happen in California. So there are locational issues.
There's some more sensitive issues too. Ethnicity. We're hearing this more and more from viewers from our YouTube channel where they say, I just can't do this. I can't bring myself to this because I know, for instance, someone might say I'm an African American, and I just can't bring myself to portray a slave.
Right. And there are other ethnicity issues or issues like that. Possibly no one of your ethnicity was in a particular location, but you're interested in that time period. So they're definitely interested.
And we're going to be discussing those things in later sessions. Right. And some of those issues too, we're hoping to explore those even on a much deeper level beyond what we have to offer.
Even in this series, yeah. But it's definitely a topic that's on our hearts that we want to work. We want to address. There's other ones that are kind of similar. There's gender issues. Maybe you're a female and those things don't interest you.
Or there's this common perception that reenacting is for men.
Right.
And it's not. There's so many opportunities for women to be involved. And
even in ways you wouldn't imagine.
So I think another big excuse is I'm afraid. I don't know what if someone asks me a question and I don't know how to answer it? What if I do it wrong and I'm rejected? Yeah. And honestly, the key concept to this session is let's package up whatever excuse you have.
Even if you think you're too old or too young.
Right. And let's just set those aside for now. Now, that doesn't solve the problem. that doesn't answer the question.
And we will have some. We've already discussed. We will have some of these answers.
Yes. But what we want you to do is, for now, just set aside your excuse. Just set it aside for now. And we're asking people to take the leap in simply believing that I can do this.
And one of the reasons why we can say that is because we know of people with all these limitations.
Right.
And, in one way or another.
Or barriers.
Right. Whatever that is, whether it's internal, external, there are ways to get around to all these things. There's no reason why any one person can't do living history in some way, shape, or form and get a lot out of it.
So we are encouraging you, take the leap. Simply believe that this is something you can do. If you find yourself interested in living history, if something about it, and maybe you can't articulate what it is yet that piques your interest, but that's where you are. You're interested in living history. Set your excuses aside, and we're inviting you to simply believe this is something I can do. Right. The answers will come with time.
And as we go through these episodes, I think everyone will start to get the feel for why we think that is true.
So this is actually a pretty short session today. That's the one point we want you to go away with today.
Is you can do it.
Right. You may not know how, but you can do it.
In fact, you've already started.
Yes, you signed up.
The deal is you already started. You're already watching this episode, so all the limitations are set aside. We've already started.
Right.
So I've got some assignments, or we've got some assignments for you. The first one is I would really like to hear about what's triggered your interest, or at least what you think has triggered your interest.
Some specific examples. Think of some specific examples of things that have piqued your interest in living history.
And tell us what you feel like your biggest limitation is.
Yeah, is there a barrier that's keeping you from being involved? Tell your friends about this course. If you know someone who you think, wow, they really need to hear this. They've expressed some interest, but they don't know how to get started. Tell them about this course. Send them the email. Forward the email that you received. It has the link there that they can sign up for the course.
Just send them the link.
Yeah.
Right.
And two, if you can get them to sign up right away, you guys can be on the same schedule and you can work through this together.
Right. And the more community there is, even with people that are getting started side by side, the easier it is.
Yes.
So, you can kind of support each other in that. That would be great.
Right. Well, John, I'm really excited about this. I know it's going to be good. We've actually put together some of the other sessions, quite a few of the other sessions, and I'm so excited about the direction this is headed.
The one we just got done was an incredible session. It's going to be great. There's so much great material in this, so we so want to welcome you. Thank you for coming along.
Yes.
Thank you for your interest in living history and in this particular course. And obviously, if you share it, it helps so much. So thank you so much for all you do, and thanks for watching.